Hey guys, Mike here. So we do got a big week ahead. We got two major catalysts that will happen this week. Obviously, I think we know what they are with Nvidia earnings and then FOMC minutes and some other stuff. So we'll get into the earnings and the economic data as we usually do at the end. But there are certain things you need to watch for, and especially there's one stock, and I never thought I'd say that really is going to dictate where the Russell 2000 goes, right, for small caps. And so we'll go into that and I'll show you why. But we'll just jump right into this because it's pretty heavily loaded up with some charts and stuff. And when you look, obviously Nvidia earnings, I mean, that's what this is all about, the AI king itself. That is going to come out on Wednesday, as you can see. And you see the range is enormous, right? It's amazing to me that around 642.73 is that trend line. That's the bottom of the range. Top, you're looking about 809, I believe that is right there. And so it's going to be a big move for Nvidia either way it goes. Let me know on the bottom what you think is going to happen during earnings. I mean, they're putting out press releases of projections and things like that, what it should be. So do you think this thing continues to pump or not? Also, do you think they're just going to screw over basically people who buy single leg options, whether it's calls or puts, playing for this big upside or downside by just jacking it up in after hours and then dropping it like a hot rock right before open and all that good stuff? Because remember, if it doesn't make the expected move, you're pretty much screwed on single leg options most of the time because you get IV crush. And of course, AMD will be riding the coattails, right? This will have a big move as well. And you'll notice, I mean, it's protected the previous all-time high right there around 164.72, I believe it is, multiple times. So we'll see if that holds as well, but it's going to move exactly how NVIDIA moves on this one. So that's for sure, because it is like the queen, right, of the AI when it comes to semiconductors, it seems. It has been crowned at least. And when you look at the S&P 500, you see a bearish MACD cross. It's barely, it's kind of like that one. It's barely, can be made out, but the last one happened right at the top of the channel. That's basically where we're at right now and stuff. So when you look at that, and again, this will depend on any NVIDIA earnings, maybe even FOMC minutes, that kind of stuff, but really NVIDIA more than anything else. And when we pull the RSI up with it, I mean, you can see obviously we've had this RSI bear. And when you pull up the RSI with it, we've obviously had this bearish divergence going on, what seems like, forever and a day. And the last time this happened was when we got that bearish MACD cross right there. You had RSI bearish divergence going on, and of course we ended up selling off to the bottom of the channel, which really wasn't even that big a move. It just looks like it. Because when you look at this, I mean, the one thing to watch out for on this one, we always come back down and tag the 50 eventually. Is that going to happen this week, next week, the week after? What to see? Again, that would only be anywhere from like a 3 to 5% drop, somewhere in the range of where that channel is as well, with some support levels. And so that's not even that big of a drop to begin with, but it always happens. You look on any run up we've ever had, it'll continue. It can take weeks, months, whatever, to come down and test that 50. If that breaks, especially the previous all-time high around that 48.11 area, that's when you get to see an even bigger drop, which will go down to around that 100, which makes sense because that will put us around the 50 Fibonacci level for retracement stuff. 200 puts you around the golden pocket, depending on when it would happen and everything. So definitely keep an eye on that one. And you can kind of see, because what happened was the bears could not get this below 5,000, right? They kept pushing and pushing and pushing. But the bulls are able to defend this 1, 2, 3 times right here. So don't be surprised if you start to see a move back up this week up to here, and I mean leading into NVIDIA. And if NVIDIA reports really well, then we go ahead and break the previous all-time high right here that we set on the 12th. Break that and continue to move up. So just keep that in mind. Of course, a lot of people are picking NVIDIA to be, maybe it's a sell the news event, maybe it's the catalyst that finally gives us some kind of correction that, is it overdue? Probably, if you ask a lot of people. We're in that seasonality area for it as well. I understand if you get up to that previous all-time high on the 12th, that's only 0.93%, guys, from where we're at. So that's nothing. Now, the craziest part of this whole story is, and guys, before we continue, if you could hit that like button for me, I sure would appreciate it. It helps people find this video and everything. And also, if you like the content, think about subscribing, guys. SMCI, right? And this one right here, I told you guys, I said, if this thing holds right here, there actually is support there around that 792, 800 area. And if you go to extended hours, you see that's where it got the bounce, right? Because it's not a big float at all. It's a very small float. Not a lot of shares out there, if I remember correctly, on SMCI. And so, again, are they done trying to run this thing up and down? Maybe. We'll have to see. But when you look at it, as long as it held that area and starts to move up and gets past around 810 probably, you could probably head to 830. At 830, that's where it got a lot of calls for, again, shorting this and everything. But don't be surprised. But the crazy part is this stock right here will most likely dictate where the IWM goes, that's the Russell 2000, and why would it dictate that? And it was simply from this post right here, and I read this in several areas, but you can see that the Russell is weighted differently than the S&P and the QQQ, right? SMCI accounts for like 1.8, 1.9% last time I looked, but because of the move up, the crazy move, the 3x it's had in market cap in just 28 days, 4 weeks that is, it accounted for like 57%, as you can see how the math works out here, of the move in the Russell, right? How the Russell was just absolutely surging like crazy. And so, you know, if SMCI starts to run again, gets back over 1,000, continues this crazy squeeze up, then you could likely you're going to see the Russell go up as well. What's even crazier is if it even stays anywhere close to where it's at now, it's not even going to be on the Russell. The Russell's going to lose it because they're going to do their reconstitution as they always do. And what they have to remove companies that have outgrown the index. This is small caps. The SMCI would not be considered a small cap, and it's just absolutely gone parabolic. But we'll have to see how this maintains, because remember, semiconductors are what? They're cyclical, right? And so, you know, watch this level right here. If it maintains that level or right around 800, 805, I believe it is, gets above like 810. And what did you see it do? It just filled that gap right there, by the way. Not only bounced off support, it filled that RTH gap right there. That's where it got the bounce from. But if that continues, you know, watch for the Russell to start moving up. And you can see the weekly range. It's a pretty decent weekly range. I mean, the bottom's like, what's that, 196.38, tops around 206.74, which would put it above the 2023 high we set in December. And I mean, this thing's had some, look at that movement. I mean, isn't that crazy? Pop, drop, pop, right? And you can see, I mean, we'll see. It's only 2 touches here for a channel, whatever. But we'll see if it stays in this channel moving up. If it does break down from that channel, very short-term channel right there. Then look to fill that gap right around like 199. But we'll see. I mean, again, I think it's really going to depend on SMCI. Let me know what you think in the comments about that. But those numbers were kind of staggering, right? And so I guess in a way the IWM has its like Nvidia type of stock, right? Now Tesla, you can see, filled half the gap right here. And so we should start to get a move up as we in this volume gap. If we start to see call flow start to move in as this inverse head and shoulders continues to play out, which would end it around like 212, 213. And when we pull up the fib levels, you can see, I mean, it's right there, that golden pocket area on this smaller move up. So I think that's kind of why you get a pause. Don't be surprised if you get like a pullback before you get the move back up. But looking at it from a bigger point of view here, we pull up these fibs and how they align with those volume profile gaps right there, and you can see the 50 Fibonacci is right above that, around 215, and then if it moves up through this volume gap, that'll put around 233, which would be the golden pocket. Again, these are where you usually are going to get your pullbacks and stuff, and you can see a lot more resistance from that point on. That will put you right at the top of that channel. Amazon, watch this one because it's definitely moving up in this channel, in this bullish channel. But the big thing is, look at Jeff Bezos, right? $6 billion sold in like 5 trading days. The last time he pulled something like this off was right here at the very top in 2021, where he sold $3 billion. I'm not sure why. If anybody knows why he's selling so much, because the rich do everything to avoid taxes, right? And so he's selling so much stock. It's just crazy. I don't know if he's like saving up for a big purchase, which doesn't make any sense because you just take loans on the shares, or it's just something he has to do maybe. I don't know. Let me know if you guys know about that one. So watch that right there. SoFi is another one because Fintech's obviously been kind of rough here. But you know, this one, if it breaks that 785 area, breaks through this wedge right here, obviously you're going to 541 most likely. But it does got room to move up in this channel around 981 if it continues to start moving up. But you can see it's trapped under the 50, still above the 200 and 100. The 100 is trying to turn up right now, as you can see. But I think PayPal is kind of suffering some of the same things. Square. So, you know, Fintech really needs more of a catalyst because they move like as a group, right? So you really just want to see this move up. You know, if we pull up the MACD and everything, you can see not a lot of momentum there, and it's trying to get above that 0 line, which is really what it needs. That's where you get the big moves at. But you look at the histogram, you can just see it's like, you can look at the other moves it's had, see how large the histogram is. You had a lot of momentum. So this one just needs some kind of catalyst of some kind. We already passed earnings. I thought this was kind of the chart of the week, though, to watch, because if you look at this as a regular chart, not logarithmic or anything, but when you draw that trend line from the dot-com bubble to the 2021 top to setting up here where we're at now, perfectly touching, right? And where do we end up selling back off at? Right at the top of this trend line. And so you can see right there. See, And so he sold down from there. So let's see if we finally break through this thing. That's a 24-year trend line right there with 3 tops now. And I've showed you the Nasdaq composite, right? That one still has room to move from a logarithmic standpoint. So let's see if we finally break through this, but just watch that because it'd be interesting. We actually did sell down from here or take a break. Now looking at earnings, it's going to be a boatload of earnings. A lot of it has to do with us, the consumer, right? You're going to have Walmart, Home Depot in the morning on Tuesday. And then, of course, Palo Alto, a lot of solar stocks this week, Teladoc, Caesars, are we still gambling? Toll Brothers, big home builder there, right? So watch out for that one. And then the big boy in the afternoon on Wednesday, Nvidia, and then you have some other high beta stuff, Rivian, Etsy, Lucid. I can't wait to hear Lucid and see how that one reports. Maybe they built 20 cars this month or something. I say that sarcastically. And Thursday, Nikola's still in business somehow. You have Wayfair, Fiverr, and then Block, Carvana still in business somehow. Mercado Libre, Bookings.com. We'll see if we're actually traveling right here. And then Friday, Warner Brothers and a few others. Nothing that's going to rock the market or anything. And it's pretty much a light week this week. A lot of bill auctions, a lot of Fed speakers. You can see Tuesday, not really too much going on there. But if you look at Wednesday, you're going to get a 20-year bond auction. You're going to get FOMC minutes. This will have to do with how many of them are wanting to do rate cuts and how many and when and all this good stuff. A 20-year bond auction at 1, so watch yields. Thursday, Chicago Fed National Activity Index. The jobless numbers will come out as well. You have a lot of manufacturing, service PMI flash data coming out. So a lot of stuff going on there. 30-year mortgage rates, 15-year mortgage rates. Are they going to keep going up, down? 30-year tips auction, and look at all the Fed speakers rolling out, right? And then Friday, guys, is pretty much a nothing burger, so we don't have to worry about that at all. So this week, all about Nvidia. That's going to be 90% of it. And put in the comments, you think it's going to be a sell the news event? Do you think they're actually going to even reach their projected move? And then the other one's going to be FOMC minutes, but don't we already know? The Fed speakers have been out in full force saying, yes, they want to do rate cuts this year. They're just not sure when, think it's too early, don't want to screw up and have inflation going back up and all that fun stuff. And so, we'll see. The one thing we do know is a short week. It's going to be a volatile week, that's for sure. And so semiconductors are going to rule the roost, not only on the major indexes, but of course IWM as well. So watch how SMCI does. Let me know how you think that's going to do as well. And how you think it's going to do when the Russell loses SMCI, which it will eventually. I don't know when they're doing the reconstitution. I'll have to look at that. And so anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Really appreciate all you guys for all your support, especially those who sign up for the membership and stuff. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And I will see you tomorrow. So have a good one.